There are a number of very serious problems in the Zimmerman trial that have been completely overlooked. I'm going to list a couple right now. First of all, there's a unique witness, the woman who was the victim at the complex. Then there was the jury instructions that stuck in on page 12, buried, about stand your ground. Now I will elaborate a little on both of these issues. The woman who was burglarized at the complex was brought in to testify. And the fact that only one witness was brought in to testify flies in the face of the assertions, repeated assertions, that there were a rash of break-ins and crimes committed at the complex. And that was supposed to be the reason that George Zimmerman volunteered to be the watch captain, to try to stop or prevent or catch criminals that were coming down on the complex residents. So what's so unique about this one woman, that she was the only one brought in to testify as a witness, being a victim? Why her? Why not anybody else? Why not even mention other victims? Just assert that there was tons of victims. Could it be there were no other victims? And the assertion that there was this incredible crime wave never existed? It was a myth. And we know that Trayvon didn't commit any crime or attempt to commit a crime. So there was no crime except for the fact that Trayvon was gunned down by Zimmerman. That was the only crime, which obviously occurred after Zimmerman called the dispatcher, you see. And he says he's getting away. So Zimmerman went after Trayvon. He went after Trayvon. He left his vehicle to go after Trayvon. He contradicted himself when he said, oh, Trayvon came to the vehicle and surrounded the vehicle. Then he went in the bushes. Then he came out of the bushes. Then he was getting away. Getting away from what? Nothing. There was nothing to get away from. There was no crime to get away from. The only thing he was getting away from was Zimmerman, the creepy-ass cracker. We know that. We know that because Zimmerman said it to the dispatcher. You see? Then there's the question about who started the fight. Well, just because Trayvon won the fight doesn't mean he started the fight. I have personally been attacked and won every one of those attacks physically. I didn't start on one of them. So this assumption that in case maybe Trayvon yelled help, he didn't. It was Zimmerman yelling help. Trayvon overwhelmed Zimmerman. Now, what about the gun? We know that Zimmerman had a gun, and we know that Trayvon didn't know he had a gun because he didn't take the gun. When he had Zimmerman down in full control, he never took the gun from Zimmerman. That's because he didn't know Zimmerman had a gun, you see. So what happened was when Trayvon got off of Zimmerman, Zimmerman stood up, pulled the gun, bang, and shot him in the chest. We know that the bullet went in perpendicular. In other words, Zimmerman was not lying on his back shooting Trayvon. He was on his feet, pointing the gun directly at Zimmerman's chest and fired it in a matter of a split second, not even a second. Boom! Trayvon was dead. Okay, that's what happened. Now what about the judge? in her jury instructions. She sticks in this stand your ground on page 12, buried in paragraph 5. So what was the purpose of that? Because it's obligatory in order to use stand your ground, you must have a stand your ground hearing. Zimmerman refused to have that hearing. There was never one word about stand your ground. So why would the judge instruct the jury about stand your ground when they heard nothing at all from any witness, from any lawyer, in the opening statement, in the closing statement, period? At no point was stand your ground mentioned in that trial. So why did the judge put it in her charge, her instructions to the jury? We know that the jurors that have spoken out said that they had no other choice, based on the instructions the judge gave them, than to acquit Zimmerman. And that's exactly what happened. She boxed the jurors in, and they went along, instead of nullifying this judge who's real slick, I gotta tell you. Real slick, Judge Nelson. So, this is the basis of the issues that have never been raised by any of the experts who are constantly talking on these TV shows to the broadcasters who don't have any idea of what has gone on here. The broadcasters don't know enough to pin the experts down, and the experts have no idea of what the evidence was. Period. And that's why they went off on this tangent of stand your ground when it had absolutely nothing to do with anything. Okay? So you see, this is a complete farce, another one, just like the Rodney King case was. And it was, the objective was to cover up Serino the cop, the 20-year veteran cop, because he released Trayvon. And because Sharpton went on a rampage to get Zimmerman into court. They got him into court all right, but they had to try to make it look complicated so that it would justify the fact that Zimmerman had been released by Serino for 44 days before finally Sharpton put enough pressure on to have Zimmerman charged. Now the charge should be, right now, the charge should be lying to law enforcement. We know he made a false claim. What was suspicious about Trayvon? He was coming back from a store, going home. That's suspicious? That's ridiculous. And furthermore, what do you just go walking around the street and decide somebody's suspicious? And what about all these other so-called crimes that never happened, where there is no witness, except that one that the lady was brought in to the trial? Okay, so what if Zimmerman is just cooking up these phony crimes that never happened? The assholes get away because they're not even there. In other words, they're ghosts. They don't exist. Zimmerman just makes this stuff up. And why does he do it? Because he's a racist? There's no indication that Zimmerman is a racist. He wants to be a cop, and that's a fact. He applied to be a cop. He took courses in school to be a cop. He went to the gym to train for fighting, and the gym teacher said he was completely useless after an entire year. He learned absolutely nothing. He had no skills. He was physically inept. And of course, Trayvon Martin proved that when he defended himself against this attack by Zimmerman. And that's basically where we're at here. So charge Zimmerman for lying, and then have a psychological exam. And any psychologist that doesn't know Zimmerman's off his rocker completely crazy, doesn't know what he's doing. And obviously Zimmerman is dangerous. He just shot Trayvon Martin for no reason. He's dangerous and he's crazy. Commit him. Period. Justice. The end of the case. Thank you very much.